How is everybody doing today? And in this video, we are going to talk about the dev notes that we got for Star Rail. And I'm not gonna lie, it seems like we have quite a bit to look at when it comes to the future updates that we're going to be getting. And if you've already been looking at Twitter, people are exploding already when it comes to some of the changes that we might get, which I'm going to be covering in another video to talk about all the characters that are relevant to this change that I do want to talk about in more specific. But let's go ahead and start talking about the dev notes and what we're going to be getting in these future updates. And with all of these being said, I'm very excited to see where Star Rail is going to be, because a lot of people were thinking that Star Rail is being neglected at this point with the lack of quality of life, with the lack of updates when it comes to the core mechanics of the game for the most part, versus other games like Zenless, like Wuthering Waves. It was made apparent that Star Rail was kind of in a more static position than not. But let's go ahead and start talking about the future updates that we're going to be receiving. And one of them is immediately making the story a lot less bloaty when it comes to the text itself. And the reason they're showing this is that usually what they would do when it comes to the story, which I don't know if I like this change that much. I guess it's fine for those that want to just kind of get the main plot points and not really go more in depth into the story, which I think is a little bit of a miss. But they're gonna give you the option to either go ahead and skip the huge amount of dialogue that is entailed with all of the lore stuff inside that one region, or you can go ahead and listen to all of it that they had previously. I think realistically this might be a little bit of a miss for the options that they're giving out, just because I feel like if they're going to be doing a story, you don't want to have something important, something very valuable and information basically cut away from you. In terms of, you pick this option, you learned about this entire plethora of information that you had access to, versus if you pick the other option, you just never get that, and you might be missing context in the future, which could suck by quite a bit. And some of the other things that they are going to be changing is like being able to have these little dialogues where you have to do all three. Instead of that, you can just skip all of them and just do the last one to go ahead and get to the next section of the story. I feel like this is a little bit of a weird change for the story. I understand that some people didn't like how Ampharis's dialogue was really long, and sadly to save myself, I have not played it yet just because I haven't had the time to play Star Rail story, because I like to have 100% attention to the game when I'm watching the story or playing the story. So I haven't had the chance to do it, but I don't know how I feel about having to skip lore, having to skip dialogue, although I have heard that the story is like 12 hours long or something, which is quite a bit. I don't know how I feel about this specifically in terms of skipping dialogue, because it makes it easier for the player. I don't know, we'll have to see how that one works. This is not the main event that we're gonna be talking about. We will be talking about main event in the future. Apparently there's puzzles that people aren't able to clear. They're gonna make it a little bit too easy, or they're gonna make it a little bit easier, which I guess could be cool, I guess, for story missions. And then the next thing, which I really just want to get to the meat of this versions that we're going to be seeing, or the main update, and that is going to be, we're excited to bring everyone bigger and better journey experiences. To name some examples, we'll be adding richer combat gameplay. That's a really good thing to hear. What they're going to be adding in addition is issues closest to Trailblazers' hearts, including difficulty deploying older characters on the battlefield and strengthening of these older characters, and they're already on schedule. So I'm not going to lie, this is a very exciting thing for Star Rail, because as you may know, I think everyone has at least one character on their account that just has trouble placing themselves in a team and being able to clear content as fast as their other competitors, which of course, as a gacha game period, as Star Rail, as Genshin, as Wuthering, as Zenless, the next characters that come out after the patches that you're currently on will inherently be stronger, because that's how they sell the characters. They make it so that you don't have to try as hard with the difficulty of the game. And looking at a character specifically like Blade, I think Blade is the best example right now, because he's probably the worst example of power creep, possibly between Blade or Jingliu. Blade and Jingliu right now, their scalings are really low, especially Blade. I think Blade is the #1 target at this, because his scalings are super low to be able to compare themselves to what we see right now in the game. And with his scalings being so low, no buff, whether it be an HP buffer in the future or some type of hyper buff carry that is like Sunday, is going to help out someone like Blade. And that sucks because this is by far one of my favorite characters in the game when he released, and I was legit using this man every single time. This is my favorite character of all time, and sadly to say, I haven't been able to use him at all. Of course, since there's cooler, newer characters out now, but it sucks that a character I spent so much time on to build, I couldn't use anymore just because his scalings are so low. He kind of doesn't fit with the current content in the game, although some of the stuff that we are seeing in the game right now could help him out quite a bit in terms of what he's able to do with his follow-up attack. But seeing that they're buffing older characters is a really good thing, and I do want to take a whole separate video talking about what certain characters need and also which characters deserve to be buffed, because there are characters that you may think need buffs, but they really just need a new character alongside them. Their kit kind of stands the test of time, or their kit is really good overall. You don't really need to change it. Character like Kafka, she doesn't need changing. She's still a really good character by default. She just needs the support. Being able to retrigger dots, without a doubt, it's already a future-proof kit. Same thing goes for someone like Black Swan, debuffer that can stack dots with Arcana. And these two characters, although Dot is dead technically, these two characters have really good kits regardless. They don't need a buff. A character that needs a buff would be characters like having Blade on that buff list, having a character like, I'm not gonna lie, probably Imbibitor Lune, probably Jingli Yu, 100% Sele. We're not gonna forget Sele. One like Silverwolf, because Silverwolf at this point is super outdated with the break meta. Being a character that only has single target implant at this current time, when most characters now either ignore it or just straight up just place whatever their weakness is on top of the enemy, yeah, it kind of takes away Silverwolf's status as a implanter, because everyone can just do it, or people can just ignore weaknesses already. So there are some things in this game that have changed over time with the meta that have led certain characters to just not being able to be used as frequently or being used at all. So having characters like Silverwolf, characters like Imbibitor Lune, characters like Jingli Yu, characters like Blade, it's a bunch of things that they need at this current time to be able to stand against these characters like Herta, like Fei Xiao, Akron. These are some hard asks, I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to these characters. But it's nice to see that they're looking in the general direction of helping out certain characters and being a little bit better. We have no idea what this entails specifically, just because looking at what they could give these characters, they could give them buffs to their traces. Like, they can add a lot more percentage to some of these modifiers that they have on their talents, whether it comes to their basic attack, their skill, their ultimate, their talent, any of those things. Or what they could do is branch out and just add extra abilities. Imagine Blade, I don't know, what could they give him that would make him like super broken? I just know that Blade's kit's super fun. I love Blade's kit. We just never got really good support for Blade, nor is his scalings enough to be able to compete against these other guys. And the same thing for Sele. I think Sele is a character that, if they buff correctly, this could be the strongest unit in the game again, just because her resurgence does not proc that much anymore with how tanky a lot of these enemies are getting in the game. And seeing Sele having a chance to get buffed, dear lord, is the mono quantum meta gonna come back? And holy, that's an old team name. Holy, I just miss a lot of these characters. That's overall something I'm very excited for. I know a lot of people are excited for it for the most part, just because we all have that one character we spent a crap ton of time on, and now that there's a bunch of new units, a bunch of new enemies, the HP has gotten higher over the time of the game being out. Some of these characters just don't compete anymore. You cannot use without struggling quite a bit. So I'm very excited to see this change, something that is super cool to see. And I know a lot of people on Twitter saw the same thing, and they all were losing their mind yesterday when it came to seeing the characters that are getting buffs, or older characters are getting buffs. That's going to be really nice to see. I cannot wait to see that update. I can't wait to see what they're going to do to these characters. Hopefully, as some people stated, it's not a 5-star replacement of these characters. Like Blade Destruction turns into Blade Hunt. It did seem, because of the way it was translated in CN, that they are specifically updating the 5 stars that are currently existing in the game. We are not going to have to pull on a new path version like how we have in Bibiter Lune or how we have Fugue in the game in terms of, you know, updating the character. So other than that, that's pretty much it for this video from what I can tell, if I am not wrong, and that is true. That is going to be it. I can't wait for Blade, my boy, to get buffed, because holy crap, I'm going to start using him. I'm super excited. See y'all guys in the next one, and peace.